Welcome to Ellie Goldsmith's Relationship Flow. We're in the fourth part of our intimacy discussion, and right now we're going to talk about disconnect to reconnect. We've mentioned this in our Unity Flow, and Amuna is our future podcast where we mention the concept of disconnecting from the world, from distractions. But there's also in relationships, there's a time out from intimacy, usually around a week and a half or 2 weeks, depending on the situation and the point, without getting into any halakhic, any law or rule aspect, and that would be more for your local Orthodox rabbi or somebody that you learn with, or your own connection to these laws and understandings of the situation of how it flows through time. Usually it's half the month, yes, half the month, no, it's on and off. But that concept of disconnect to reconnect, that time out in relationships and intimacy is really important. It's actually the key to the game. There's no real way around it anyway. Like, it physically is taking place that you need to disconnect. Any other ways, like even growing up not religious, it was looked down upon, like, to connect during that time. It was something that people just didn't do. But the example of disconnect to reconnect and done with a proper spiritual focus allows the relationship emotionally and spiritually and physically to renew, to have an aspect of renewal, as if you're getting married again, like a certain excitement that can only take place by having time away. So the system works, and people in the world have now started to understand, maybe they did, but it's become more talked about online, that this system is the best way for relationships to keep the freshness, especially during the time when you're so seemingly intimately disconnected. Emotionally, you're even more connected, because now you have the opportunity to connect without the physical, intimate aspects. You have the relationship flow of emotional connection, sharing good moments together. Example being, like, if you sit together, watch something, you have some sort of treat, you connect in a positive framework, you keep those scenarios set up that, there are rules about exactly how and what in terms of how far the, going out together it can go. But basically in our context, without getting into that, is that a person should be able to connect with their loved one in other ways that the physical aspect sort of not distracts, but sort of takes over. Because we are, human, and we have a tendency that when we're in a moment of intimate connection, like we spoke about, it's sort of, you go beyond yourself into a whole different realm of experience. So when you're not able to do that, you have to sort of deal with life a bit more, but at the same time keep balanced, because you can't all the time be facing your demons or your personal challenges. You have to have times of positivity during this time as well, and that's the balance that we seek in relationships. So there's times on, times off, times to be connected in this way, times connected in a different way. So we're never really disconnected. So I wouldn't say you disconnect to reconnect. Let's reword it. That's one of the reasons why it's important to have this flow. We'll call it time on, time off. That's a bit more, but we're always on when it comes to connecting. That is something which is, once you've found that soulmate in your life, there's never a time you're not connected. You're 24/7, 365, however you want to say it. Every minute of your life from that point on, you're connected. There's the idea of derech eretz, of doing the right thing in etiquette, in relationship etiquette, of being able to reach out when you're going to be early or going to be late. If you're delayed, if you need to rearrange, people understand that with outside their relationship, with business and putting on a good show for the world. But the most important place really is within your relationship, to have that etiquette and to treat that other person with the respect they deserve. And if you make a mistake, to apologize and to fix that, and to work on the relationship growing rather than, God forbid, getting more difficult. And that can take a lot of work, more than anything in your life. And we are going to post in our Moon is Our Future podcast and sites, Res Love English sites, a class from Gedalia Fenster. I'm looking forward to put it out there. And he brought on a special guest, and we'll hear about it there. But the idea of communication, of how we communicate during these times, all the time, but even more so when we're not able to physically, like I said, cover over the cracks or the pain moments, because we've got that intense pleasure together. Now there's that, hopefully that's where you're holding in those times when you're on, but that's part of what we've been talking about the last 3 parts, and we'll probably continue to talk about in the coming parts of intimacy. But the time we're not connecting, that is really important now to look at the relationship in a real way, and to work on the areas that are a bit weaker or where there needs to be more development, and to use your energy in the right way. So I know myself, I'm trying to flow in this in a constant level, thank God. Like I said, I've been married almost 19 years, coming up Hanukkah, and I think that's a big achievement in this generation with the tools that I was given growing up secular, from English, non-communicative, emotionally, I would say, my wife always jokes, emotionally, backward, she says some other words as well, undeveloped in those ways. So, to be able to work on that, thank God, side of myself, and have a soulmate who is the other way around, much more emotionally sensitive, and has much more room for my emotional development in our relationship. So that is a big positive step forward in my life, in my journey, in my family's journey, in generations' journey. That we're a continuation of all the relationships before, but the goal is to come ultimately to that shleimus, that completion, where we are physically, emotionally, spiritually united. And I think that's why this time on, time off is really giving us the ability to connect in all the different ways needed to come to that complete relationship flow. Have a beautiful day. Thanks for listening. Beautiful Shabbos. It's the end of the week, a lot going on. I will be on another podcast today, and we'll put it out on our network. You're welcome to find it there. And please, once again, share your relationship flow. Looking forward.